Hey everybody, Mark again here at Bancroft. So let's kind of go through the control menu on this HMI. We just went through it here on site, but let me give you a quick little instruction on what everything does here. So this is your main screen, and you got a bunch of different options here. You got AVC settings, your torch drive settings, and your wire feed settings. Okay, so this top row controls mechanicals of the machine. So your AVC is going to be where you set your heights and your limits, okay? Your torch drive is basically the carriage itself, the drive on the carriage moving back and forth, okay? And then your wire feed speed is your settings for the wire feed, okay? So we'll run through each one of these first, going through here. Okay, so torch drive settings, let's start with that. Okay, we have our jog speed that you can set, so forward and reverse jog, move to home, move to weld start. So the weld start position is going to be where you want the weld to start on the seamer. Okay, so say for example, here's your torch, it's homed. Say you want it to start right here. So you're going to measure or tell it, hey, I want to go 8 inches, and that's where my start's going to be. Okay, so you can set that to weld start. Okay, so for example, right now we got that weld start position at 33 inches. We were running a long sample. Okay, now to weld position speed, that's the air move for the torch. How fast you want it to move to that start position. Okay, then next one down we have our weld length. Okay, so say you got a 30-inch piece, so you would type in 30, bam, it's going to weld for 30 inches. Okay, then at what speed do we want that carriage to move? Okay, so right now it's at 8 inches a minute, so you can change that as well. So start position, where the weld starts, how fast you want it to get there, how long you want it to weld for, at what speed. Okay, move to home. If it's in a position, you can just move to home, move to weld start. Okay, so let's go back to the main screen. AVC settings. This is for the torch height. So now that you got your back and forth, you want to control the up and down. Okay, so we got inch and inch, up and down. Okay, and then jog up and down, which is a little faster. We have move to safe height position, so you're going to designate a safe height so the torch doesn't crash into the part, and then it's going to slowly move to the weld position, okay, that you're going to designate. The torch is pneumatic, so right now it is up, and if we go ahead and move it down, the pneumatics will go down. Okay, so it's down. Now move it up. Okay, so the safe height after the torch is pneumatically down is 2 inches, and your pre-weld height you're going to have to set. So you need to adjust the torch tip down to roughly 3/16 of an inch to an 1/8 inch off the material for the tungsten tip that's coming through the nozzle. That's going to be different on the thickness of materials that you use. Okay, so each time you change thickness materials, you're going to have to change that pre-weld height. And then of course your actual position. So when you're moving it, you will see the actual position of the torch. So 3.45, that's how far I moved it down, and that's where I want it to start. It matched this number here. Okay, so let's go back on to the next one. Then we got our wire feed settings. Okay, our inch speed, we want to inch the wire in and out, inch forward, inch back. In our feed speed, so this is the actual wire feed speed of the wire feeder. We can move it fast out and move it fast in according to 90 inches a minute. We have a delay for the wire to start of 2 seconds, 200 milliseconds. Okay, and then we say we want the wire to stop feeding from the end of the weld so the wire doesn't stick in there. So we're going to stop it, say, a 1/2 inch from the end of the weld. You don't have to do any calculating on this. If you're welding 30 inches, it's gonna stop feeding wire at 29.5 automatically. And then this is your burn back time, so it's kind of a slow burn back on that. Okay, so let's go to the next row. Welder settings. This is an important menu here, okay? So these numbers, pre-flow, pre-puddle, crater fill time, post-flow, and downslope from end of part. Okay, let's go through these one by one. The pre-flow time is set at 150 milliseconds, which is 1.5 seconds, okay? This number has to match the plasma console. So if we go back to the menu here, I'm on the upslope, okay? That is what that is, 1.5 seconds. And your initial current is 85% of the main current, okay? So our upslope is 1.5 or 150 milliseconds. Okay? Same with the crater fill time and the post flow. They have to match on the plasma. Now you can designate when you want that downslope to start from the end of the weld. So we originally have the wire feed stopping a 1/4 inch. So we want a nice crater fill on there. We're gonna go ahead and add 1.5 seconds, and we're gonna start the downslope an 1/8 inch from the end. So that's kind of the settings that we used. You play with it and see what you can figure out that what might work better. Okay, then we have, let's go to ABC control. Okay, so whereas before we already set our height, permanent height, but now we need to know what our voltage is that we are welding at, okay, to set our AVC. So you set your AVC voltage according to what the AVC volts are when you're running. So run a sample piece and say it starts, your average in 5 inches is 19 volts. So you set 19 volts in that spot. And then what you can do is you can set your lower limit and your upper limit to 0.25. So it can go up to 19.25 and it will go down to 18.75 volts. Okay, so it should not go out of that range. Now, how long does it have? So the lower limit delay will take 1 second and the upper limit delay will take 1 second. You can change that to however slow or fast you want it to react. Okay, so you want it to kind of be a steady rise or a steady fall. After 1 second it sees it, it will automatically start adjusting. Okay, and you'll be able to read what your volts are and what your current position is on there. So it's a really good feature because the mandrel, having a mandrel that long is going to bend in the middle with all the pressure from the fingers. So the longer the piece, the more you're going to need to use that AVC. Okay, so starting up here might be normal, but by the time you get around toward the middle, it's going to start dipping down in there. Okay, so that's where the AVC comes in handy. Okay, back to the main screen. Now, the run screen. Okay, this is where you can control everything on and off. You want the drive on or off, you can do all that. Okay, welder disabled, wire feed disabled, enable backing gas purge, so you can hear the backing gas for the backing bar, and the backing gas enabled. Okay, so it's going to tell us what our start position is. Our start position is our weld length and the speed we designated before and the actual position. Okay, right now we are in manual mode, so we can adjust anything we want in those other menus. Okay, and it is homed because it's green. Okay, auto mode, if you go ahead and switch it to auto mode, it's going to tell you to clamp the fingers before you start. Okay, so it's a reminder. You don't have the part clamped, it's not ready to weld. Okay, and if you get any errors or e-stop, there'll be a reset here and you'll see a code up here for what it is. If your e-stop is on, you'll have to undo the e-stop and then clear the error on that. Okay, as far as everything else that goes on this, the dynasty should be set. We already went through all of that. The torch setup, we just went through with your team, so they know how to set up the torch. You will get the manual with it. And always, always, always remember to turn off the coolant when changing the tip on this nozzle here. When you take it off, you will get sprayed with coolant if the pump is on. And then you'll contaminate your next tip when you start the weld. So you'll go through consumables pretty quick and you'll be taking a bath real fast. Okay? So any questions, feel free to let me know. This is a pretty cool machine. We love doing these and we love having you guys as a customer, and let us know how everything works, okay? Have a great day.